I ignored my inner voice and paid the price, but my revenge was legendary. 4 years ago, my life seemed right on track. Thanks to my work as a software developer, I was accepted into a well-regarded technical institute just outside New York City. My skills in programming were already strong, and since this school was a known hub for tech recruiters, I had plenty of companies eager to bring me on board. But I wasn't interested in corporate slavery. 70 to 80 hours a week for a fancy paycheck, with no personal life in sight. Most of my friends came from small, family-run trucking businesses. I saw an opportunity there, a way to help them and avoid being shackled to some tech giant. I took a basic logistics program that allowed trucking companies to schedule deliveries, track drivers, and match available trucks with pending orders. Then I improved it, automating routes, scheduling maintenance, and even connecting local suppliers and drivers for faster pickups. It saved these companies thousands and boosted their profits. My classmates happily helped part-time since I paid them well. As graduation neared, I had to make a choice: either sell the software or expand. The trucking companies urged me to continue, practically begging me to stay on. So, I agreed, but I needed the right place to work from. That's when I made a decision that would haunt me for years. About a year before finishing school, I met a woman named Lila. She was striking, tall, with deep green eyes and flowing brunette hair. Lila studied at a nearby college. From the start, she was upfront about her plans to return to her tiny hometown after graduation, and she wanted me to come with her. I'd always said I could work from anywhere. Technically it was true, but only to a point. Against my better judgment, I agreed to follow her. Before we left, I drafted a checklist of what I'd need: high-speed fiber internet, stable electricity, backup power, phone lines, and room for expansion. Lila's father and uncle promised they had everything ready. That was my first mistake, trusting them. The moment we arrived, the truth started to unravel. Lila told me I couldn't stay with her because her parents didn't approve of her living with a man before marriage. I had to stay in a dingy motel. Something inside me whispered she's lying. Later I saw her outside, flirting far too closely with a group of guys. They were laughing, touching, and clearly familiar. My gut told me run. But I stayed. When I met with her father and uncle, I discovered their office building was a rotting, unsafe dump. Leaky roof, poor wiring, an ancient backup generator, and no fiber connection despite it being nearby. Worse, they wanted to charge me outrageous city prices for it. They even mocked me as an outsider, calling me that northern fool, though I was Scottish, not English as they assumed. Fed up, I confronted Lila. She acted offended, swearing her uncle's building was the best option. I told her plainly I wasn't staying and would look elsewhere, with or without her. Reluctantly, she agreed to come with me. Looking back, she only did that to keep tabs on me. Around this time, my lawyer and close friend Marcus gave me blunt advice. Small towns stick together. If you marry her, get a prenup. I'll draft everything, including protections for your business and assets. I took his advice and she signed it. Furious, but she signed. We ended up married. Against all warning signs, I thought love could fix everything. Didn't. 9 months into our marriage, I noticed her behavior shift. She refused intimacy on certain days. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, without fail. She became obsessed with knowing where I was at all times. It got worse during political debates. Her family worshipped Senator Wade Carlson, a radical local politician. I despised him, and the feeling was mutual. Her family hated me even more because I refused to fund the town's Independence Day celebration again, especially after I found out the money I donated last year disappeared, but somehow her dad had a brand new truck. One Tuesday, while clearing my head from coding frustrations, I noticed someone following me. Soon after, Lila called, acting anxious, but it wasn't concern for me. She was nervous I might uncover something. My gut kicked in hard. There was a seedy motel in town known for hourly rentals. I staked it out discreetly, and watched her arrive with 2 of her male friends. I knew immediately. But instead of reacting with fists, I planned my revenge. I called Marcus, Then an old client, Rob, who accounted for 25% of my business. Within hours, Rob pretended to sever ties with me in public. I played along, making it seem like I was desperate. Everyone heard it, and Lila's family thought I was finished. That night, I began packing and left a note for Lila, saying I had to meet Rob elsewhere to save the business. She wasn't pleased when I returned, and neither was her family. But I'd had enough. I openly confronted them all. I was done being their puppet. Then I set my real plan in motion. Over 6 weeks, I secretly relocated my business, trained new employees, and installed hidden cameras. In my home, in that motel, everywhere they thought they were safe. I discovered a pattern. Every Tuesday and Friday, Lila and her lovers, including some high-profile townsfolk, used the motel. Even the local pastor was involved. I gathered everything: photos, videos, records. Then I made my final moves. I leaked affairs to the wives of the cheaters, most of whom were grateful and helped me later. I exposed the pastor's escapades to his church and media outlets. I fired every employee who mocked me or covered for my wife's affairs, publicly naming them in the termination letters. Then came my grand finale. On Sunday, while the pastor preached about virtue, I hung giant photos of Lila's affairs all over the church, inside and out. Her lovers, including the pastor, were exposed on every wall. I stormed inside and interrupted his sermon. You should have thought about adultery before you slept with Mrs. Harper, Mrs. Ellis, and Mrs. Duncan. I turned to Lila, who stood there, humiliated and furious. Oh, and Lila, your fun with these fine gentlemen, and your own family, is over. Divorce papers are on the way. I walked out as she screamed, leaving her in ruins. I shredded every new lease contract her uncle tried to trap me with. His restaurant collapsed, my business was gone from their control, and police investigations began against her family for, among other things, incest. I filed for divorce in a neighboring county. Her judge cousin couldn't save her. The prenup held. She walked away with nothing. No house, it was leased under an offshore company. No money, no job. She couldn't even afford rent. I left that cursed town, driving until I reached the coast. As I sat by the ocean, watching the waves wash away my fury, I smiled for the first time in months. I was free. In time, her family tried to track me down, but my new friends weren't the forgiving type. They beat them senseless and sent them packing. Eventually I met Elena, the exact opposite of Lila. Patient, kind, honest. She respected my scars and let me heal. We married. Now, I'm happier than ever. I have a beautiful family, loud but full of love, and a business that thrives on my terms. So if your gut tells you to run, listen. Ignore it, and you'll suffer like I did. But if you listen, you'll find peace, and maybe even revenge that'll go down in local legend.